Hello all, we've just celebrated St Andrew's Day, so I thought I'd do a quick video about a rhyme written by the so-called Scottish laureate of the nursery, William Miller. He wrote Wee Willie Winkie round through the town. But what's the history of the rhyme? Who was Wee Willie Winkie? Which town was he running around? And why is there a plaque to the author on the wall of a brewery? Wee Willie Winkie has become synonymous with trying and failing to get a young child off to sleep. The basic story being, despite the best efforts of the author, Wee Willie, or Little William, finds more joy running from house to house, playing pranks and keeping the good townsfolk awake when he should be tucked up in bed. First published in 1841 and originally written in Scots, the same language or dialect used by Robert Burns in his poetry, its fame spread following its publication in Standard English in 1844. I've included the Scots version and the more common English version here. The poem runs to 5 verses, but it's the first verse that we see most in Mother Goose books. Wee Willie Winkie runs through the town, upstairs and downstairs in his nightgown, tapping at the window, crying at the lock. Are all the children in their bed? It's past 10 o'clock. The time the children should be in bed seems to have got earlier and earlier. I've seen recent publications quoting 8 o'clock. Clearly a child's acceptable bedtime has changed over the centuries. As the poem progresses, young Willie gets naughtier and naughtier, disturbing the cat and the dog and crowing like a cockerel. But personally, I think the last verse is the sweetest. Despite the battles of getting a child to sleep, all is forgotten once everything is settled down. But a kiss from his rosy lips gives strength anew to me. Wee Willie Winkie was first published in Glasgow in the catchily titled Whistle Binkie Stories for the Fireside. It's a collection of popular Scottish songs and poems, but the most famous is really Wee Willie Winkie. A whistle binkie is a Scottish term for a travelling musician who plays at weddings or parties. So it seems the town in question through which Wee Willie makes his hullabaloo is almost certainly Glasgow. The author of Wee Willie Winkie, William Miller, was born in 1810 in Denniston, in the east end of the city. When his dreams of being a surgeon were apparently dashed by ill health, he turned his hand to being a wood-turner, cabinet-maker and part-time poet. While he could never make the poetry pay the bills, Wee Willie Winkie made him famous in his own lifetime. In 1871, at the age of 62, Miller's leg became ulcerated, forcing him to retire from cabinet-making and becoming destitute. His leg became infected and a year later he died. He was buried in Tollcross, also in the east end of Glasgow, in an unmarked grave. But the affection felt for him and his rhyme led to a public subscription, paying for a rather impressive memorial. It notes his standing as the laureate of the nursery and the author of Wee Willie Winkie. The memorial stands in a prominent position in the Glasgow necropolis, just across from the city's St Mungo's Cathedral. But it doesn't stop there. Such was the admiration for William Miller and his poem about Wee Willie Winkie that in 2009 a plaque was unveiled on the site of his old house in Denniston, No. 4 Ark Lane, long since demolished and replaced by the tenant's brewery. But what about whether the rhyme is really a subversive political tract with a secret historic message? Perhaps Wee Willie Winkie was a king or a religious martyr. We all love those theories. We certainly do know that Willie Winkie appears in other poems. The Last Will and Testament of Willie Winkie is a comic ballad, which was published in Thomson's Ophelius Caledonius in 1725. Basically, this is a long inventory of goods left by Willie to his son, including an old beam plough, a fishing rod, and some old tools. But I can't see any connection between this and a child with insomnia 100 years later. The other theory often quoted is Willie is actually King William III, or King Billy as he's known in Scotland and Northern Ireland. William certainly was wee, although he's often painted looking magisterial on his white horse. He was, in reality, the original Lord Farquhar, only 5'6", compared to his wife, Queen Mary, who was 5'11". He's clearly standing on a box in this painting. But again, there doesn't appear to be any connection between King Willie, who died in 1702, and the cheeky boy knocking on the doors of the East End of Glasgow a century and a half later. In the end, Wee Willie Winkie is simply a sweet little Scottish verse told to children who will not go to sleep. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tale of a Scottish rhyme. If you did, please do hit the subscribe button for more explanations about the meanings behind the rhyme. Bye for now.